Welcome back to Education Matters. Did you correctly answer false? As of 2013, the majority of Hispanics living in North Carolina were born here in this state. Our next two guests have experience in supporting lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth. And we're going to talk to them about the issues that they are dealing with. First, we have James Miller. James is the Executive Director of the LGBT Center of Raleigh, a LGBT support organization here. And Bud Harrelson. Bud is a board member with an organization called Safe Schools NC. Safe Schools is a statewide nonprofit, and you focus on learning environments and making sure you have a safe and positive learning environment with a special focus on gender and sexual orientation and those issues. So thank you both for being here. It's a perfect topic for us to be talking about. You know, in the first segment we talked about children of immigrants, and the reason why we're sort of bringing these two groups of students together because there's so much political swirl going on around these issues, and LGBT certainly. James, in your role with the center, what are you hearing from, I guess, the LGBT community, but specifically young people, in terms of how they're feeling about things?
Absolutely. I do believe that here in Wake County, we are in a small bubble. We are very well protected in many cases. Your last guest did very well to say that there are great policies in place for Wake County, but we can still do better. A lot of our youth are still knowing that they have different risk factors in many different situations. We know that they need these pieces and this help. However, they are amazing youth and they are incredibly resilient. So one of the pieces we've focused on with the LGBT Center is to empower them to make those changes for themselves. So on the ground right now, I would say LGBT individuals are doing very well, but it is also very important that we split out sexual orientation from gender identity.
Yeah, and I want to get into that. And we were talking before. I mean, certainly things have changed since I was in school, since you were in school. I mean, it is. I mean, from a societal perspective, you know, homosexuality is more you know, sort of accepted in popular culture. You know, I have a teenage daughter. I mean, certainly their generation, they're much more comfortable with these issues, but it doesn't mean that there still aren't prejudices and bias and stress. Kids who are maybe dealing with their friends are cool, but their parents aren't, right?
I think it's really interesting to say that society has progressed very quickly, more quickly so in queer issues than probably any other, you know, disenfranchised group, I would say. But understanding, yes, there is a cultural divide, and youth cannot be just put into one silo because they live in many different situations, many different cultures. Like your last guest, we can have a queer immigrant who's undocumented. That exists. The intersectionality between your identity is important. So I would say absolutely right now we have seen just a whirlwind effect of acceptance, but that doesn't translate into older populations. It doesn't translate to individuals that might not live in an urban area. It's just how it is right now, and we're working on it.
Bud, your organization that you're representing focuses on schools.
Right.
So what's, I guess, what are you trying to do, and sort of give me your take on sort of the state of, I don't know, acceptance and support within our public schools?
So the mission of Safe Schools NC is to support teachers and administrators in building their content knowledge and their awareness of the needs of LGBTQ young people, and then in such a way providing them the tools that they can deploy in their schools and in their districts to make schools safer or for LGBT young people. So that includes going beyond having a gay-straight alliance. It includes having inclusive policies that address the needs of LGBTQ kids. It includes thinking about instructional strategies, the books that we use in class that have LGBTQ characters in them, that we include LGBTQ history in our courses, that we think about what the policies that are in the building and making sure that they're LGBTQ inclusive, that, for example, that a same-sex couple can go to the prom together versus not being allowed to do that. But at the forefront at the moment is the policies that need to be in place to support our transgender young
we were talking
people.
about, and there's definitely a distinction, and James sort of alluded to it, between gay, lesbian, bisexual students and transgender students in terms of where we are.
Right.
What are you with the transgender students that you either are working with directly or just aware of the issues? What's sort of going on there?
So it goes beyond just facilities and allowing transgender young people to use the segregated facility that matches, that aligns with their gender identity, but it includes honoring their gender identity throughout the day when they're at school, using the name that they have indicated that they is the name that they prefer, using the gender pronouns that align with their gender identity, and not questioning that, accepting that at face value. Having their records at school reflect their gender identity, being able to communicate to teachers the gender identity of the young person so they're not misgendered in that first interaction with the teacher and the student. Making sure that, again, that we have comprehensive bullying policies that address gender identity, and that people are not, that we've created a safer space.
Right. And that's what this is about, the children, and that's what, James, I wanted to get to. I mean, this is important for us to get right, if for no other reason, because we want all of our children to succeed, regardless of who they are. And LGBT youth are prone to depression, more homelessness because of they're getting rejected by their families. That's kind of, I guess, at the root of it, is just making everyone feel like that they're okay.
Absolutely.
and there's a place for you here.
I think for right now, we've been working with a lot of gender nonconforming youth and trans youth to make sure that they're empowered to make those changes and that they are making policy changes by themselves. I think there's a really great quote that I run the center by, is "Nothing about us without us," and that's something that I really feel comfortable empowering our kids to take up the chain, essentially, of school systems to say and self-empower yourself to make those changes. So it's really important that we make sure that they know that we're here for them, but it's also incredibly important that we make sure that they are self-empowered to do it, because that's just, it builds the next, leadership cohort that we have. So I'm really proud of the individuals that I've seen, and our youth program at the center is going gangbusters with fantastic leaders, and I really hope that we can really use those individuals to empower other youth.
Right. Well, I think it's important work, and like I said, the politics aside, whatever your position is on it, this kind of dialogue I think is important, which is why we wanted to have the show today, just to talk about it, right, and just to make sure that everyone understands sort of what our students are going through. So thank you, Bud.
Thank you.
James, for being here. We appreciate it. After the break, this week's Leadership Spotlight.